ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णा प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णा चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थेषु तेने ब्रह्म हृदयादिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत् सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा। धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनस्य भद्रं भजतादधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 11, Chapter number 8, and we are on verse number 7. In the previous slokas, the Brahmana spoke about the education or knowledge or teaching which he learned from the Python. Python means staying clean from everything, not getting involved in any problem raga, dvesha, right? So that is what it signifies. Because he says that people work for happiness, and he says that happiness comes anyway. An important thing he said was happiness is there in the hell also. Because he says Swarge Naraka Evacha, Sukham Endriyakam Rajan, Swarge Naraka Evacha. That happiness which you are working for, it is also available in hell. Generally we think that people in hell are always suffering and people in heaven are always enjoying. But he actually reveals that even in heaven also people suffer and hell also people enjoy. Because our senses, they get used to everything. Now in Europe there is heavy temperature, so they are suffering much more than Indians. Why is that? The temperature here is going 45 degrees, there also I heard touching 40 or something. But why is that they suffer more than here? Because they are not used to that. After a few years they will also get used to it. There will be no difference. So, if you are in hell and you are suffering, after some time you get used to it. And when that suffering becomes less, you enjoy. And in the heaven, also you get used to the enjoyment. And when that enjoyment is not enough, you suffer. If you are eating nice food every day, and then one day you get not the food of your choice, then you suffer. But somebody who is sadhu, wandering here and there, every day he eats different type of food, whatever he gets. So he doesn't suffer, because he is used to it. So this is the situation with the mind. Therefore it says Sukham Endriyakam Rajan Swarge Naraka Evacha. That this happiness and suffering is there everybody. The rich people also suffer it. You can see it here only. So that those people who are rich, who have every facility, they also suffer. And then there are people, poor people who live in a hut, don't have much. They also are enjoying to some extent, just as to some extent rich people also suffer. So some happiness and suffering is there in everybody's life. There is nobody here in the material world, unless you become a yogi, become a python. So therefore he says we should learn this. And then he gave the example of ocean. From the ocean you learn how to be stable and deep, inscrutable. Now he is giving education from a moth. So that is the next guru. Drishtva striyam deva mayam tadbhavairajitendriyah pralobhita patanti andhe tamasya gno patangavat. So he says that this patanga is the moth. So moth, he sees the light and then he runs to the fire and falls into it and burns itself. So he says in the same way, a person who does not have control over his senses, he sees a woman, it's talking about men. So a young man sees a young woman who is created by Dev Maya, product of Dev Maya, and becomes attracted and then falls into the deep darkness. So this is Stri Pumsam Mithano Bhavo. So this is the bhava here in the material world. Women are attracted to men, men are attracted to women, and that's how they remain bound here in the material world. So this is the situation, just like a moth. Moth is more instant, visible. In case of Man and woman, it's a slow death. It's a slow poison. For the moth, it is, he goes, he jumps into it, he's finished. But this one works very slowly. And when it is very slow, you don't feel it. It's like that example is given that if you take a frog, put it in a pot of water and heat the water slowly, so frog will keep on staying it till it can even die, because he gets used to the warmth as the temperature. You have to increase the temperature very slowly. But if you take the same frog and put it in water 60 degrees, he will immediately jump out of it. It's too hot. So here in the material world also, that's why it is called Dev Maya. It says that Stri is Dev Maya. For that is, here he says about Stri because he is speaking to Yadu. If he was speaking to some woman, he will say Purusha, Pumsa. So therefore don't think that it is any criticism on women, because that's another problem. These days, these women are being criticized. So it is an uplakshana, like kakebhyo dadhirakshatam. Mother gives instruction to the child, protect the yogurt from crows. So they were doing yajna outside and she went inside to get something. And there was a yogurt. So she told the child, just make sure that the crow does not come and spoil. But what if the dog comes? Should he protect or not? He has to protect. So although she said crow, but crow is uplakshan. It's an indicative of anything which can destroy the yogurt. So similarly, Striya here is not only Stri, it could be wealth, as he says in the next sloka. So anything which will distract your mind from spirituality, that's what it means. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti says that Rupa Sakti Nas Heturiti Patang Shikshitamaha Drishtva iti Dvabhyam. So he says that attachment to attraction to the form, beauty, Rupa. Rupa here means beauty. So that is the cause of one's destruction. And that he learned from the moth. So that is being described in 2 slokas, this and the next one. So we can have attachment to many things, attachment to taste, attachment to smell, attachment to beauty, to music, to touch. But one of the greatest attachment, attraction, instant attraction is seeing. So, as they say, beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. So that's what he is describing. This patanga, this moth, he only sees fire, which looks very brilliant, nice, but doesn't see that what is behind it. So like that we also get attracted by the beauty, not seeing what is coming with it. That he realizes later on, right? People meet, they fall in love, and rest of the program comes later on. So, first they don't see it. So, yosid hiranya avharanambaradi dravyesu maya rachatesu mudha pralobhitatma hi upabhoga buddhya patangvan nashyati nashta drishtihi. So, he's first more explaining it and more. So he says that this foolish person, his mind becomes attracted to women, to gold, to ornaments, to nice dress, and other such articles, iPhone. Yeah, it could be many things these days. In the previous time, things were very limited. There was not much. They always say garland, chandan. So, Srak Chandanadis, Vanita Srakchandan. 3 things they always say. Standard everywhere you read in the commentary. Vanita Srakchandan. So now there is much more material. You can go on Amazon.com and there's plenty available. So therefore he says Adi takes care, etc. takes care. So these are all Maya Rachitesu. These are all products of Maya to attract your mind. So Devi Hiyasa Gunmayi Mama Maya Duratya. So he is Mudha, and then he upabhoga buddhya. So main thing is that you see them as object of enjoyment. Whether it is woman, man, cloth. The problem is not in the object. Problem is in the bhoga buddhi. That when we have the desire to exploit, enjoy, then the problem begins. Otherwise there is no problem. Man is there, woman is there, there are so many animals, birds, they also see man, woman. They are not bothered. Right? Monkeys also see woman. Monkeys. But are they attracted? No, they don't care. They look at you. They only see if you have glasses. Then they can snatch them. Their interest is not in you. They only run away with your glasses. So that means the problem is not with woman or man. Otherwise it should be problem for everybody. So even also for men, not for all of them. But as soon as you see something as the object which I can exploit for my benefit, then I become troubled by that. So that's why it says upabhoga buddhya patangvan nashyati nashta drishti. So as soon as you think like that, then you are called nashta drishti. Means that your vision is lost. You don't have proper perspective about things around you, about life, and then you are doomed. So he says nasyati, just like a moth. So it's interesting that moth is seeing the light and he doesn't have the vision. He is blinded by the light. The very light which is supposed to enlighten you makes you blind. So that is because of the problem is not with the light. Problem is with the patangam, the moth himself, because he has upabhoga buddhi. Sri Vishnu Chakravarti says, Yadyapi stri hiranyadishu madhye striyam panchapi vishya santi tadapi yoshidadishu prathamam drishtireva patati rupasyeva pradhanyam. So it says something interesting. Later on he will cite a sloka. About which he is mentioning here. He says that a woman has got all the 5 things to attract the mind of a man. And there is a sloka which says Patanga Matanga Koranga Bringa Meena Hata Pancha Bhireva Pancha Eka Pramadi Sakatham Nahanyate Yasevate Pancha Bhireva Pancha. So he says that a moth, an elephant, a deer, a bumble, honeybee, and a fish. All these examples will also come later on by the Avdhuta. They fall into trouble being attracted by one of the sense object. So like moth is attracted to the rupa, the color, elephant to the touch, deer to the sound, bumblebee to the smell, and fish to the taste. So he says pancha bhireva pancha, that all these 5, they are attracted to one of the thing and they fall into trouble, which he is going to explain. Then how is that a man is not going to fall into trouble by being attracted to women who has all five? There is a smell, there is a taste, there is a sound, everything, touch. So he says, therefore he is completely foolproof trouble. Means there is no possibility that he can escape. They lose their life. Moth loses the life, elephant gets caught, deer gets caught by the hunter by music, fish gets caught by the fisherman by putting something on the hook. And who else is remaining? And honeybee also gets into trouble. So what to speak of man? He says, Eka pramadi katham nihanyate. He is asking question that how is that foolish man will not be killed because he is attracted to all the five by women. So for that only he is writing that among these list of objects which are mentioned here, women, gold, ornaments, cloth. So he says among them the women has got all the five objects of senses. But here he is only talking about the rupa asakti, attachment to the looks, the appearance, means the object of the eye. So drishtireva patati. So because that is the first thing which happens when a man gets attracted to a woman or woman gets attracted to a man. What is the first thing which attracts? Is the rupa, the appearance. Everything else comes later on. So therefore here he uses the word nashta drishti, that his drishti is lost. All the drishti here is in the sense of buddhi or understanding. Viveka. He has lost his sense of discernment. So this is what he learned from the moth. Then the next guru is Brahmara. So he has two here. One is Brahmara, another is Makshika. So one is honeybee, other is what you call bumblebee. So what is the distinction between them? That honeybee collects honey and makes beehive. But the Brahmar does not do that. He doesn't collect. He only takes as much he needs and he moves on. So he gives example of both of them here. So he first gives the example of the Brahmara or bumblebee. Sayantanam swastanam vana sangranhita bhikshitam pani patra udaramatro makshika even sangrahi. So he says that a yogi or a muni or a sage, he is not a sangrahi, meaning that he does not accumulate more than what is needed. So he goes for begging, and whatever he gets in his palms, joint palms, he takes that, or udara amatra, or his stomach itself.
Read the previous verses. Stokam stokam graset grasam.
Okay, oh, I missed that. Okay, stokam stokam graset grasam deho varteta yavata grihana hinshana tishted vrittim madhu karim muni. So he is giving the example of honeybee. So what honeybee does is that it goes from flower to flower, and therefore it takes little from this, little from that, little from that. So it does not destroy the flower. Not that you take everything from the flower and destroy. So he says that a muni, a sage, should also take like this. He should take bhiksha from different houses, little, and eat that. Stokam stokam grased grasam vartete yavata grihan. So little by little. So that's why it is called madhukari. This word madhukari comes from here. And it says madhukarim muni vrittim. So just as earlier that was called ajagar vritti. So ajagar vritti, he does not beg. He just stays in one place. Somebody gives the food, he takes. Somebody doesn't give, he fasts. But this person is not like that. He is not like a python, he is like a honeybee. So he goes, so sannyasi is allowed to beg from 7 houses. Take little, so you should also not that you take everything from one house. So therefore he says that grihan ahimsan atishtet. You should not trouble one particular family or house. So take little. Stokam. Stokam means little. And this is what is called madhukari. That's how one should live. Madhukarat sikshitam ahadvabhyam. So what he has learned from honeybee, that is being described in 2 slokas. Madhukaro yatha vishishta gandhalobhena ekasmineva padme vasanast samye tasmin mukulite sati. This is sloka number 10. There is no commentary. On the 9th sloka there is nothing. No, okay, he says. I think for both he says here. So he says that Madhukaro yatha vishishta gandha lobhena ekasmineva padme vasan ast samaye tasmin mukalite sati badhyate evam munirapi gunalobhena ekameva griham ashrita stan mohena badhyate. So first he gives the converse example. He says, suppose there is a honeybee and she likes one particular flower very much and just remains on that flower and does not move. So then what happens? Lotus flower is talking about. So lotus flower has the characteristic that it blooms by the sun and at night it closes. So therefore the bee is sitting on the flower and doesn't go anywhere else. At night it closes, so it becomes bound there. So he says in the same way, if you do madhukari only from one house, then you will have relationship there. The idea of doing madhukari from various houses is that you don't develop some bond with them. Then problem can begin. So he says, if somebody does that, a sage who instead of taking madhukari from various houses but becomes fixed only in one house, then this is going to cause trouble. He will also get bound like this honeybee. There is a very nice sloka. I am not sure if it is which Kalidas or somebody's, but this sloka I have heard many times. Ratrir gamishyati bhavishyati suprabhatam bhaswan udeshyati hasishyati anu pankajashri itham vichintayati kosha gate dvirefe ha hanta talnimva gaja ujjahara. So this is describing, the poet is describing that this honeybee got caught in the lotus flower and then inside sitting he is thinking that night will pass away, ratri gamishyati bhavishyati suprabhatam, and then there will be morning, and then bhasunudeshyati hasishyati pankajasri, then sun will rise and then this lotus flower will open, then I will get out. He was thinking like this, but in the morning one elephant came and took the flower and smashed it. So he could not come out. So hanta nalinim gaja ujjahara. So you can make your plan, someone else comes and spoils it. So therefore he says, Tasmat stokam stokam alpam alpam grasam grinhan graset. So therefore you should take little food from house and eat that. Yavata deho vartete. So take as much as is necessary for maintaining the body. Grasanam adhikya nyunatve nisiddhe grihan grihasthan ahimsan apediyan. So don't eat too much, don't eat too little also. So in this way don't trouble the householder people. Anubhyascha mahadhyascha shastrebhya kushlo naraha sarvata sarma adadyat puspebhya vashatpada. So just as honeybee, this is another teaching from honeybee, said just as honeybee takes little honey from the different flowers, like that a human being should take knowledge from different shastra, because there are different shastras teaching different things. So sarvata saram adadyat, take the essence of all, small books, big books, anubhyascha mahadhyascha shastrebhya. So there are also small books, Bhagavad Gita, big books, Mahabharata. So you should learn from all that, take the essence and become expert like the honeybee. Madhukarat sargrahitvam api dharmam shikshet. So previous sloka was also learning from the honeybee, and there you learn that take from different houses and not only from one place. And this is also talking about the same thing, but it is teaching another point, that you take the essence from different scriptures. Saunubhyaschaiti. Then sayantanam swastanam na vana sangrinhita bhikshitam Panipatro Dharamatro Makshika Ivana Sangrahi. So then he says that you should not save Sayantanam Swastanam, that I beg now, then I will eat this in the evening, I will eat this tomorrow. So don't hoard your bhiksha, your alms, whatever you get, just consume it and that's it. Wash your hands. So therefore it says use your palms as your pot for taking bhiksha, or use your belly to take bhiksha. So you only can take that much, not storing outside. So he says don't store, just like now this here makshika means that brahmara, that bumblebee which does not store. The honeybee, they store it, which also he will give example later on, but don't store. That is the meaning of makshika here. Madhu karoti iti madhukar sabdene madhumakshika api uchyate iti tata shikshitamaha. Sayam idam abhokshe svaidam bhokshe iti bhikshitam annadim na sangrinhati iti. So he says the word madhukar also means madhu, makshika. So he says that you should, I will eat this in the evening, or I will eat this tomorrow. Like that, do not store the food that you have bagged. Kim punar hyastanam pauramasikam pauravarsikam vaiti bhava. Then what to speak of storing it from the previous month or previous year? Don't store. Atra sayam swava bhavishyati yad vastu drishyamannadi tasya adya sangraho na sambhaved atah sayantanam swastanam va nimantranam na sangrinihati kechidahu. So he says that the meaning of this statement is different, because what will come in the evening, what will come tomorrow, you cannot store that now. So he says what is the meaning here then, evening and tomorrow? He says, don't even collect invitation. Because the sloka says, Sayantanam swastanam vana sangranita. Don't store something which will come in the evening or store something which will come tomorrow. So one meaning is that don't store something now for evening or store something for tomorrow. But that is not the direct meaning of the statement. Directly it says don't store in the evening, don't store tomorrow. So what does it mean? He says don't take invitation. Don't confirm that tomorrow I will come and eat in your house. In the evening I will come and beg in your house, like that. He says nothing, don't store like that. That is the meaning. That is somebody's explanation. Kena patrena grihe grihe bhiksham kuryad ityah pani patra. And what is the pot you have to use for begging alms? He says your palms are your pot. Sarvato bhikshita grasan aniya kutra sthapet. And when you have collected, where should you store it? So he says udaramatra, in the pot of the belly. Udarameva amatra bhiksha nidhana bhandam yasya chasa. So he says the belly itself is the pot to store your food and nowhere else. Sayantanam swastanam vana sangranihita bhikshukah makshika iva sangrinnan sahatena vinashyati. Then again in the next sloka, he repeats the same thing, that do not store for evening, do not store for tomorrow. A bhikshuka. So bhikshuka means one who begs for bhiksha, begs food. So he said, just like, now he gives the converse example, that honeybee stores. Previously he had the example of the bee which does not store. Now he has the example of the bee which stores, who makes beehive. He says, don't do that, otherwise you will lose your life along with what you store. Because then somebody comes and takes away the beehive and bees are also killed in the process. So he says, if you store, this is what will happen to you, that not only what you store will be taken away, but you will also lose your life. So this used to happen. So Pandit Baba, there's a story about him, that he was staying in the Raghav Pandit's cave in Govardhan, and there was some bhandara nearby. He was never going to any bhandara, but some people went, some sadhus, and they also brought for him, or maybe not. But at night some village people came and they thought he must have some malpua. In those days bhandara feasts were also simple. Now you have very fancy feasts. In those days the standard thing here in Braj was that you make this malpua and sabji and dahi, yogurt and bura. Only these four things, that's all. So he said he doesn't have anything, and they hit him with the axe on his head and he fell unconscious. So this is when he was not even storing. What if you store? So maksikaiva sangrinan sahatena vinasyati. So he says, like the honeybee, you will also be killed. Sangrahe krite sati kim bhaveditya sayantanam. So if you hoard things, what happens? That is being described in this. Then he talks about, so he is talking about different senses. he talked about the Rupa Asakti, becoming attracted by the beauty. Now he is talking about the sense of touch. So he says, Padapi yutim bhikshur nesprished daravim api sprishan kariva badhyeta karinya anga sangataha. So he says that a renounced person should not touch a young woman even by his foot. He says, even a woman made of wood, don't touch that. Sprishan kariva, because if you touch, you will be caught like an elephant. So elephant, they say that the people, how they catch elephant, wild elephant, how they tame them. I have not seen, but this is what I heard. Maybe you know. So they make a pit, deep pit, and then cover it on top with the grass. And then they have wood elephant and put it next to the pit. And then male elephant comes and thinks that it's a sea elephant. So he comes running, and because there is a pit and on top there is a grass, he falls into it. And when he falls there, then they leave him without any food or anything. Then he becomes weak. Then when he's weak, then they pull him out and slowly give him like a bhikshu. little, so he doesn't have much strength. And then they train him. So why he got caught? Because he wanted to enjoy the sense of touch, anga sangata. So he says, therefore don't try this, otherwise you are in trouble like the elephant. So this is what he learned from the elephant. Sparshasaktir nasa heturiti gajat shikshitam ityahadvabhyam. So how the attachment to the sense of touch is the cause of one's destruction, this he learned from elephant, and this is being described in 2 verses. Pada padena api darvim darumayim api gajohi karanim pradarshya trinadi pihit garta nipatya badhyate. So he says, don't touch a woman by foot, even what to speak of hand, and not only a real woman, but even wooden woman. He says, otherwise you will be caught just like elephant is caught, and he falls into the pit, and then he gets bound. And then the next one also. Nadigaccheta striyam pragyah karichin mrityumatmanah baladhikai sahanyeta gajaira nirgajo yatha. So he says that don't become attached to, an intelligent person should not become attached to a woman who is like a death for him. He says if he falls in attraction to a woman, then he will be killed by someone else who is more powerful, just like an elephant is killed by other elephants. So this is what happens. There's a now very big story going on that some young girl and young boy, they were betrothed, right? They're to be married together, fiancé and fiancée, and then they went to see some, what was that, some hill station, and then the girl was in love with another man. So they called the man, and on the pretext of doing some tricks there, they pushed him and he died. And they come from a very rich family. So, but somehow it came out. There was another story like that. The boy girl, they got married, then they go on honeymoon to Assam, and then, right? Then the girl gets him murdered with the help of the boyfriend, and then she cries, oh, he was kidnapped, or this or that, he disappears. So there are many stories like that. I don't know about the elephants killing elephants, but human beings are doing that. So many stories. The husband killing wife, wife killing husband. Many stories are coming these days. Many news regularly that how the wife got the husband or boyfriend killed. So that's why he says, he uses the word here that mrityum atmana, that the woman is the death for man.
Actually, in Arthashastra, they will mention keeping she elephants, like real tamed elephants, with the pits.
For
captivating. So maybe.
Yeah, and the kings also used to keep Vishkanya.
Yeah.
And this was very common in the olden times. They will have young girls, and these girls were brought up from their childhood without salt. They were not allowed to eat salt. And if you don't eat salt, then your body becomes poisonous, and maybe they eat something else. So then these girls, they allure the enemy, young prince or something, and they bite him, and that person will die just by the bite. So they're called Vishkanya. Vish means poison, poisonous young girl. So there are a lot of stories like that. Vishkanya is popular in Chanakya Arthashastra also. So 13, 14. Iyam mamayeva bhogya iti striyam nadhigachet na vishwasta syat. So that this woman is object of my enjoyment, don't have this idea or this faith. Yatas tasyam anitail baladhikai jarai sakil hanyet. So he also says that she will get her lover. Jara means paramour, upapati, jara upapati sama. So you first make sure. These days they have investigators, private investigators. So actually it's becoming common. They are even advising that before you marry, especially for rich people now, this has become common that if they want to marry a girl, investigate, or the girl wants to marry a boy, investigate. Because there's another thing these days, that in India, because there's a very strict law against dowry, so many girls, they act like they want to marry, they marry, and then they file a case against that he is torturing us for dowry. And when the case is there, then you compromise and you give so much money to me. A lot of cases like that. So this is their business. They do many. One marriage, it's not really a marriage, but it's all planned like that. So they will, allure some rich guy, and then within 1 month or so, then this whole episode comes. And then, rich people don't want to get into this trouble. They pay huge amounts, get out of the marriage. So even there was a judge, he was Maharaj's disciple. I went to his marriage, Pathak, and it happened to his son also. So he also got tricked like that. He has to pay a lot of money to get out, being a judge himself. So this is what is being described here. Nadeyam naupbhogyam cha lubdhairya dukkha sanchitam bhunkte tadapi tachanyo madhuaiva artha vinmadhu. So he says those who are greedy people, so they collect money. They earn money and they keep it to themselves. Nadayam now bhogyam. They don't do any charity and they also don't enjoy it themselves. Nadayam now bhogyam cha lubdhair yaduk sanchitam. So then what happens? Somebody else enjoys their wealth, either by killing them or when they die, then someone else will enjoy because they don't enjoy. So he says one should know this from the honeybee. Again, example of honeybee is given because honeybee, what do? They collect honey and then somebody else comes and takes it away. So they don't give it to anybody, they don't eat it themselves. Someone else takes. So this is situation of the people who are very greedy for money, don't use it. त्याग भोग हीनो धन संचय परगामी भवति त्यत्र मधुहा मे guru ritya. So he says the person who does not do charity nor does he enjoy, then his aggrandizement of wealth is only for others. So the wealth has got only 3 destinations. It's described in one sloka. Either you use it for yourself, you give it in charity, or somebody will take it away. Simple, there's nothing else. There's no other 4th destination. So he says, if you don't do the first 2, then the only option is the 3rd one. Some thieves will take it. Somebody will do cyber crime. So they will trick you for something. Or somebody will take it. So he says, this I learned from Madhuha. Madhuha means those who collect honey from beehive. So this is not coming from this lesson is not from the bees, but from those who collect honeybee. न देयम तदन्यो बलि भुंक्ते तेनेपि संचित मन्ये तदपि अन्ये मधुआ मक्षिका भी संचित मधु यथा भुंक्ते तद्वत्. So he says, तदन्यो बलि भुंक्ते तेनेपि संचित मन्ये. So somebody who is powerful, he will enjoy it. So you collect, you work hard. Somebody who is powerful, he will take away, just like the person who collects honey takes away from the honey bee who have collected it. Nanu guptam dhanam kathamanyo gyatva haredityaha arthavit. So now he says that you keep your money secretly. How do they know that you have money? So he says they know it by some hetu, linga, arthvit. So that's why the word arthvit is used here, that he is going to take it. So arthvit madhu. So lingairat artham tadupayam cha vetti iti arthvit. So one who tries to, because the people who want to take others' money, who want to cheat you, so they observe how you are, what you are doing. So you think that people do not know, but the people, those who want to take your money, they are also expert. So they figure it out and they take it away. Yatha madhuha tarukotradi gatam api madhumakshika anugamanena vetti. He said, just like the person who collects honey, how does he know? The honey bees are also hiding it in the beehive somewhere in the forest. So he says, these honey bees are on the tree, not visible. or inside in the empty hollow of the tree. So he says he follows the bees. Where are they going? Because they go to the flower, then they're flying back. So he follows them, observes, takes it away. So there are people who are following you to take your money. Sukha dukkha uparjitair vittair ashashanam grihashasha madhuha eva grato bhunkte yatir vai grihamedhinam. Then he says that these sannyasis, brahmacharis, they are also like the person who collects honey. Because householders, they work hard to collect money. Then they go and say, give us bhiksha. They are not snatching it away, but they say that you have to give first to us. Sannyasi should be first fed, then you have to feed him, then you give him dakshina. He goes happily. So he says that sukha dukkha uparjitair vittair ashashanam grihasina. So he says that these householders, they collect money with lot of troubles. Sudukha uparjitair vittair. And then they are expecting that they will enjoy their wealth. Then on the way comes sannyasi. And you have to feed him first, because that's what the Shastra says. So he first eats. So bhunkte patir vai griha medhinam yatir vai. So yati means sannyasi. So he said just like the honey is there, honey bee in this bee honeys, they are collecting honey, hoping they will eat it in the winter or rainy season when they cannot find anything. But before they eat, the madhuha comes and takes away everything. So like that, sannyasis also comes. Swa-udyamam vinapi bhogah sambhaved iti atrapi saeva guru. So he says that without working hard also you can enjoy. He says the bee collector is also guru for that. That the bees, as if these bees have been employed by him. They are working for him. Okay, you go and collect all the honey. When it's ready, tell me, I will come and take. That's what they are doing. So he says, like that the sannyasis also do that. So, sudukkheti asashanam iti vaktavya varnalopa arsha. So there is a sloka which he quotes. Yatischa brahmachari cha pakvanna swaminau vubhau tayorannam adatvatu bhuktva chandrayanam charet. So this type of slokas the sannyasis will remember because they are very good. He says that when a grihastha householder cooks food, then it belongs to brahmacharis and sannyasis. Means they should be given first and then only the grihastha should eat. If he eats without feeding a brahmachari or sannyasi, then he becomes sinful and he has to perform a chandrayana vrat as an atonement. Chandrayana vrat is very tough fasting. So you have to start from the Purnima. So on Purnima day you eat 15 morsels of food. Next day 14, next day 13. No moon day, complete fast. And then you eat one morsel, 2 morsel, 3 morsel, then Purnima will come, then you eat food. So this is a 1 month fast. And it's very tough. So you go on reducing your food from 15 morsel to 0, and then you increase and come back to 15. It's called Chandrayana. So if you don't feed a sannyasi or a brahmachari every day, then you have to do Chandrayana. So therefore you work hard, you cook everything, then invite them and feed them, because they have the first right over it. So he says, I learned this from the bee honey collector. So then he's going to talk about the attachment to music. Example of the deer. Okay. Yes.
Question from Nityananda Das Babaji. Dandavat pranams Babaji Maharaj. Does the over-accumulation of a human derive from fear and lack of Shraddha in Bhagavan that the Lord won't provide in the future? As we see, the honeybee is better in this regard and only takes what is necessary for the day in complete faith.
Yeah, this is how sannyasis were. The sannyasis, in the past, they lived like that. They did not have any fixed residence. And if they don't have any fixed residence, there is no question of collecting. So sannyas is not supposed to collect. Now modern sannyas is different. But in the past it was like that. They used to move from one place to another place except during Chaturmasya. So now also many times you hear that Sankaracharya is doing his Chaturmasya here, is doing Chaturmasya there. In those 4 months, or generally 1 month, 2 months, they don't do 4 months. Maximum 1 month, they don't travel. And they will give class there every day. Other time they will be traveling. So that's how it was. Dakshina Devi.
Hare Krishna Babaji, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was just thinking, because it seems like attraction and attachment between men and women is unavoidable. So obviously we're given a concession to fulfill that desire in a regulated way by getting married. But the Bhagavatam repeatedly cautions us against attachment to spouse, children, family life, because we're told it's binding us to the material world. But in this modern age, how do we understand and apply these teachings when marriage is spoken about as if it's almost like an obstacle to spiritual life, and these teachings are then being misused to, abandon responsibilities or leave a marriage in pursuit of personal happiness? I'm just struggling to understand how these teachings are relevant in modern life when excessive attachment to family life doesn't really seem to be there anymore.
Well, first of all, this is teaching of Avadhut. So as I have been saying that in the very beginning, that Krishna starts instructing Uddhava because Uddhava asked for it. So first thing he talks about Vairagya. And I said that Vairagya is necessary. Some Vairagya is necessary for any path. Because if one does not have any Vairagya, why would such a person take to spiritual life? Any path, Gyan Marg, Yog Marg, Bhakti Marg. So some Vairagya is necessary for every process. So that's what is being described here. So the practical application here is the sense of detachment. And as we will read, it's not saying that you run away or anything from your responsibility, because in Gita, Krishna is also repeatedly saying that. He will also teach that when we come later on. But this is first step, some detachment has to be there. And these things have to be interpreted according to one's path. As I have been saying, even the slokas were there, the Atma is seen in one way for Jnana Yogis, another way for the Bhakti Yogis or Vaishnavas. So as per our path, our understanding is that what he's saying is that we should not become attached to anything material. So whether it is sense of touch, sense of seeing, this or that. And as we have spoken many times, that In case of bhakti, you see everything from the angle of Bhagwan. So as came also recently where it was said that the relationships are seen in two ways. One is from the bodily platform, other is from Krishna point of view. As Kunti Devi prays, Sneha pasamam chindi, dridham pandu suvrishnisu. So this pasa bondage is when we see things independently. And here also, as he says, upabhoga buddhi. So the problem is only in that upabhoga buddhi. And that's what we have to give up. So that does not change whether it is modern times or ancient times. That process does not change. We have to have clear understanding of this and bring this change in our consciousness, in our awareness. Otherwise it's not spirituality, whether whatever path you may be following. Okay.